The global hunger index is changing, as you can see, from about 35 in the 90s to around 20, which is really a significant improvement. And we see more significant change when we look at on the infant mortality rate, which changes on about 30 to around 12%, which is really a good improvement. And why is this improvement? This is what we'll be seeing in the next slides. If we look at on the government effectiveness index, we see that over time there is a very net improvement. For those who are not familiar with this index, the index covers 0.25 to 2, changes from 2.5 to 2.5, minus 2.5 to 2.5. This is what is needed. But for Niger case, you can see it's still negative, but there is a net improvement changing from minus 0.4 to around minus 0.6, which is really, for many African countries, this government effectiveness index is negative. So, but we see a net improvement in Niger. So next, for why we are seeing improvement in Niger, if we look at on the, there is a net improvement in terms of the investment in natural resource and production. We look at, if you look at on the first graph, we see that the agricultural expenditure calculated as a percentage of the agricultural GDP is really improving. From 2003 to 2010, we see a net improvement of about 4% to around 8%. And we see, if we look at on the national agricultural investment allocation, we can see that the net natural resource investment in the natural resource is getting a good share, while in terms of market expenditure, the country is not doing much. We can hardly see something there. So here is where we have really good news to share. In terms of forest planted area, Niger is really doing a great job. Over a period of 20 years, you can clearly see on this graph that there is a very net improvement in terms of forest planted area. And this is in terms, we have it, this number, we have them in terms of thousands of hectares planted. And this evolved in the 90s for around 40,000 hectares to around a little bit more than 140,000 hectares. So really Niger on this aspect, this is where we have the good news in terms of land degradation. Niger is doing a great job. Comparing this figure to other countries, we can here clearly see, if we compare Niger to countries like Uganda, Nigeria, and Kenya, we clearly see that the percentage of planted forest is netly higher in Niger than to other countries. And if we look at on the deforestation rate, comparing the period 19 to 2000 and the period 2000 and to 2010, we can see that how Niger is improving. We see that compared to country like Kenya, Nigeria and Uganda, Niger is reducing the deforestation rate. You can see, we compare the green, the green color is deforestation rate during the later period, 2000 to 2010, while the other yellow color is the deforestation during the earlier period, 19 to 2000. Compared to the other country, you see how the deforestation rate is reducing in Niger, while in Kenya it's almost stable. In other countries, the deforestation rate is increasing. So this is how Niger is really doing good job in terms of reducing the land degradation. In terms of the cost of land degradation, we have here calculated in terms of the crop yield loss and the overgrazing. And we see that overall, we have about 8% of the GDP. The cost of the land degradation in Niger is calculated to be about 8% of the GDP, which is not great, but it's still, it costs something. So despite this good news and this improvement and this great effort that Niger is doing to reduce land degradation, there are some challenges that Niger need to face. And if here we look at this graph is telling us about the fact that this decentralization is still relatively low in Niger. If we look at these two indicators, you see that Niger has the lowest indication, has the lowest SLMWM by law. It has the lowest. But to understand this, if you look at on the score of the index of the overall decentralization, Niger also has the lowest. So the fact that the land management by law is low in Niger, it can be explained clearly by the fact that the decentralization is still going on and very, very low. Or if we look at on this graph, we see that the GDP in Niger is consistently growing over time. If you look at the green line, but when we look at on the per capita GDP, it's falling. If you look at the red bars, so these are the challenges. Some other challenges that we can cite is that the market connectivity in Niger is very low. And we don't have the number here, but the logistic performance index of Niger is among the lowest in the world. And in terms of adoption of agricultural production, we compared here the case of Kenya and Niger, and you see for almost all what we enumerated here, Niger has the lowest rate of use by farmers in terms of the technology of agricultural production technologies. So so just to summarize, Niger, things are improving in Niger. Niger did a great job in terms of fighting land degradation compared to other countries. But there are some challenges. If these challenges are faced, then Niger can do a good job in terms of fighting land degradation. Thank you.
Thank you.